The Kansas City Chiefs got a much-needed win over the Indianapolis Colts. That, on Tuesday, as we record this show, that was 2 days ago. It wasn't Monday, it was Sunday. And from this exact moment right now, we are 2 days away from Chiefs-Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It's not tomorrow, it's on Thursday. We are bisecting two massive games of Chiefs football, and I really hope Seth has a lot of energy, because I am tired.
Yeah.
Welcome to Only Weird Games. I'm Joshua Brisco with Seth Keysor. We'll hopefully get a little Nate Taylor a little later on in today's show. Victor producing the effort behind the scenes right now, and I want Victor and everyone else to know that Victor did the exact right thing on the cold open. I said, I'll just talk, I'll point at you, and then you just hit the intro. And Seth, with all of the lackadaisical taking his time that would allow Victor to get in there and start the intro, he cuts you off like one syllable in. He's a natural. This is a great start for old Vic, Notorious VIC.
Yes, I have never been. Victor lived up to his name by being a victor of the moment and doing the exact right thing at the exact right moment. I often tell people that those moments are rare, where you just know you're doing the exact thing that God wants you to be doing. Victor, you did exactly what God wants you to do, and you can take that from me.
Yeah.
Like, you can trust me on that. And so, good for you. Me, I need to, fast for 3 days and spend a lot of time in prayer and scripture. Victor just needs to exist. Good for you, Victor.
I mean, Seth is about to tell you, well done, good and faithful servant. Like, we're getting, Victor, I don't know what your background or upbringing is, but we're gonna get you at least a crash course here. Apparently within the first moments of this show today. Seth, I have to imagine you were saying some prayers in Arrowhead, where I'll say this, ultimately, you picked a heck of a time to make the trip down here, but for a while, it was looking like you were about to have a, roughly 20-hour round trip in the car to maybe attend the Chiefs' funeral, or at least a game that would have given them no margin for error the rest of the way, and instead, you saw an amazing game with some amazing moments at the end. What were the vibes like, let's say, at Kareem Hunt's fumble or earlier?
You don't have to pretend that I didn't send, I can't believe I drove 10 hours for this into the group text. You don't have to pretend I didn't. Because I sent that to the Only Weird Games group text, which was, as the kids, I believe, said a few years ago, but no longer do, a banger on Sunday. There were so many tweets. There were so many texts going back and forth that made me just happy to be part of Only Weird Games. I accidentally ran into Tucker D. Franklin.
Yes. Literally, it seems like.
Yeah. In the at the Tickets for Less tent thing, tailgate area. Both he and I were enjoying some food there. Shout out to Tickets for Less. And I believe Crown Royal also sponsors it, but me being me, I don't think I can shout them out. And
the story that I heard is that you literally knocked a beer out of Tucker's hand, which couldn't be more on the nose if you had done it with your nose.
I am just trying to make everyone's life a little bit better. One day at a time. But it was so surprising to see him.
Jesus famously went around turning wine into water, I think.
Absolutely. And that is the main point of that story. And so it was great. Like, running into Tucker, it was great. Nate came down and said hi and gave me a hug before the section started, which means that the only regular of Only Weird Games I did not see this weekend, despite my repeated attempts, was Joshua Brisco. Even though I tried to bait him, I tried to bait him with a present. I have a present for you. And you are going to love it.
I can't wait.
Now, I don't want to build up too much here, but ideally, if things work out the way that we're hoping, I'll be back in Arrowhead. But that was the vibes of the group text. I cannot believe I drove this far. And it was, of course, wonderful to see my good friend Clint and Susan and Milo, their dog, who we helped them find. It's a long story. It was awesome, regardless. Spending time with people that you care about is always great. But sitting in Arrowhead watching the offense be bad And not even just bad. Here's the funny thing about the offense. Once you're out of the emotions of the game, if you go back and watch the game, not even on the all 22, but if you just watch the offense, you'll be like, wow, they were actually moving the ball pretty well throughout the game. It didn't look the same way it looked against Denver and at times against Buffalo. It actually looked better until, well, for one, except for the first throw of the game.
Right.
Which, that's what happens when they don't respect your RPOs. A defensive end just doesn't crash at all because he knows that you're going to throw it, and then he knocks it in the air and picks it off. But other than that, they were generally moving the ball well. Then they get to the red zone and something would happen. And it was no fun. People were upset. There were like no highlights from the first half. Even with the defense kind of doing okay, it wasn't doing okay in like a highlighty kind of way.
Absolutely.
It was very frustrating. Felt like we were watching the same movie that we'd watched multiple times in a row, dubbed in a different language. You know, like the overall points were still the same. And then Chris Jones happened, and everything turned around. And that's the first thing I wrote about. I got to watch Chris Jones in Arrowhead Stadium save the Chiefs season. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. I have told people for a long time some of the coolest things I've ever seen in Arrowhead Stadium, and I've seen a lot of really cool things at this point. I was there for the first of the real no-look passes against Baltimore, that crazy fourth down thing. I was there for when they beat down Indianapolis in the snow in the playoffs. I was there for the better than a bye destruction of the Steelers. I had been offered tickets to the 13-second game and chose the Steelers game instead. So, whoops. But I've seen a lot of cool things at Arrowhead. I have seen, I've talked to people about it before, the stadium chanting Eric Berry's name prior to the game in a moment that if you talk to anyone who was there, they will tell you it was an upper tier Arrowhead moment, even though it came on a night that ended very poorly. This was right up there with that Eric Berry moment. This is right up there with like watching Jamal Charles against Seattle. I think it was in 2013. It might have been 2014 when he was just by far the best player on the field against the Legion of Boom and just took over a game completely. I've seen some cool things. Go Chiefs. Mm-hmm. But watching Chris Jones single-handedly in the moment, because the rest of the defense came along for the ride and other guys made great plays. Shout out to Drew Tranquill, who was firing off against the run. Shout out to Jaden Hicks, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie. Guys were making plays down the stretch. But I had people tell me after I wrote the article that it was a little bit weird when they went to commercial break. Kareem Hunt had fumbled. Everyone was walking off the field dejected. I mean, the crowd, it was one of those moments, if you're at a game live and you're in a bad moment and then they try to do one of those, like, turn to your neighbor and sing along this new whatever. And I'm just like, man, read the room. Like, what are we doing here? And it's not great. And as I'm sitting there listening, you know how Arrowhead can, when things are pretty bad, there's like this murmur, like it's just a bunch of conversations, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of loud. It's different than a totally silent stadium, but it's worse in a lot of ways. It's almost like anxious. Yeah. And people just were talking about the season being done. They were mourning the end of something. And then Chris Jones strode onto the field and said, absolutely not. And like, I said in the past when Chris Jones tries to get the crowd fired up, and he does it a lot. It's one reason he's Jazz's favorite player. She loves how interactive he is. It's normally like this really joyful thing, right? It's this really like fun kind of involving things. And so it's just a really cool thing that he does. This was not like that. There was an anger to it. There was not that he was even necessarily, he wasn't mad at the crowd, but he was angry. The word I used when I wrote about was defiant. He was the guy that, as you know, the river waters are rushing towards you with inevitability, is just standing there in the gap screaming no, even though there's no reason to. You're in the way of a meteor, buddy. Like, this is not going to work out. And he just said, no, this is not how this ends. Not today. This is not what's going to happen. Not at Arrowhead Stadium. Not against this team. Not right now. And he just brought everyone in the stadium with him. And so I didn't quite realize what he was doing. We're just sitting there. The stadium's all murmury. And suddenly you just hear a roar from one section of the lower bowl. And I was like, what in the world? And then it started to spread. And that's when I saw Jones just striding back and forth, waving to the crowd. Not happily, but defiantly. Basically saying, no, we're going to do this. What? You thought we were done? You thought we were done? You think we're done? You think this is over? And just, it was awesome. And the whole crowd joined in on it in a way that was angry, but not in the way they'd been angry with other things throughout the day. And the entire defense fed on it. And that was it was like a living embodiment of watching the Remember the Titans, you blitz all night scene. It was an incredible moment. And then watching the defense just 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Because keep in mind, after that 3 and out, the Chiefs scored a touchdown, another 3 and out, then the Chiefs went 3 and out.
Yes.
They needed 4 straight 3 and outs, and they did every one of them while Chris Jones, he only collected stats on a few of them, but just completely took over the game. It was awesome to watch, and then the Chiefs finally found some answers to man coverage, at least some of the time, and it was just a really cool thing to watch, and I want to come back to the man coverage thing, but that was the biggest thing from the game. I got to listen to you on 96.5 The Fan as I was driving out, and you were doing a terrific job, and you focused so much on Kareem Hunt, and rightfully so. In overtime, Kareem Hunt, who is 1,000 years old in running back years,
right,
is running through tackles to gain 7 yards where he could have gained 3. Nobody wanted this more than Kareem Hunt and Chris Jones.
Yep. And
it was really, really cool to watch. Chris Jones has won 3 Super Bowls. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's got every accolade ever. And during a crummy year, and for them, with a kind of a crummy game, in a season that's been kind of a down one for him, he just wanted it more. And those cliches are usually not true in the NFL.
Yeah, could just want it all the time, right? Why don't you just want it? I don't know how to explain. I've found peace not trying to explain that stuff anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of those, people love to say that. They love to give kind of the pep talk about the ethereal because it's something that really didn't matter when we were in high school. It doesn't matter as much in the pros because they're all pros. Right. But this was a moment where if you had just told me, yeah, Chris just wanted it more than anyone else, and I'd be like, yeah, that tracks, because no one could block him after that. And I don't know where he reached out and found it, but man, I hope he's able to do that in select spots throughout the rest of the year, because it changes everything about the defense. And also, man, hats off to the secondary for playing its butt off the rest of that game. It was really cool.
I want to stick with the defense for a while here, because I know that my inclination is to talk about the offense, and I think we did open with Kareem Hunt. We talked about Chris Jones a little more later on, and then got to what I think is, short of just 3 forced turnovers on 3 consecutive possessions, I just think one of the most impressive sequences that a defense can even theoretically provide, much less actually do, much less against a team that is still the highest scoring offense in the NFL, much less a team that has answers to so many matchups, and might be one of the few offenses in the NFL that has matchup advantages over probably any defense. This team where, yeah, the quarterback's been the question, right? And the Colts have told you with the moves they've made, we're planning on Daniel Jones being here for a while. But Jonathan Taylor's the best running back in football, and it hasn't been close this season. He's just been an absolute animal. They had 3 legitimate wide receivers who, and we saw this, I think, twice, essentially. You leave any of those guys even just a click out of your rhythm, and 3 of those wide receivers can kill you. They have the guy who I think, maybe I get we haven't seen or heard much at all from Brock Bowers this year because of the fact that he's a Las Vegas Raider. Warren or Bowers is going to be my pick for the next 10 years of the tight end position. And seeing how Warren has been used in the Colts offense, I'm just like, I am tickled by him as a football player. And I'm glad we're not talking about what a great day he had opposite Travis Kelce and that passing of the torch on Sunday. The Colts, this isn't the Raiders game or the Commanders game or anything like that. This is the highest scoring offense in the sport, a team that is not just smoke and mirrors also. It's not just the counting stats, right? It's a team who's actually been able to move the ball at will for the vast majority of this season. Mm-hmm. The game ended 23-20. It was 20-20 at halftime, or at the end of regulation. When Kareem Hunt loses that football, it's 20-9. It's not just that you needed something from the defense. You needed perfection. And it's not just that you needed to keep them from scoring. In a lot of these instances, you needed to get the ball back as quickly as you could because the clock is also your enemy here. And what the Chiefs did from the point of the Kareem Hunt red zone fumble to the end of the game was allow 13 yards on 12 plays. That's ridiculous. And no turnovers, and no 30-yard sack, and not a couple of like rinky-dink personal fouls that erase 30 yards. That's not weird math. I've read this like 5 times in the last couple of days across different shows and everything, and I'm still not tired of it. Bill Barnwell wrote up just here's how it went. Here are the Colts possessions, the final 4 possessions of the game, when in all likelihood a field goal ends it. In all likelihood, a field goal puts the season on the kind of life support that you're like, I mean, we are looking at wings and prayers the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. Here's what the Colts did. Run for -2. Incomplete punt. Incomplete 7-yard completion, incomplete punt. Incomplete 6 yards, punt. 4 yards, run for 5, run for a loss of 2, punt. It would be great if the Chiefs' defense regularly forced more turnovers. It would be great to have some Daniel Jones freak-out fumbles that give the Chiefs good field position in a day where they were overcoming their field position, drive after drive after drive after drive after drive, while the Colts were living in good field position for most of the day. Kareem Hunt's fumble might have been the only time they got pinned inside the 5. I can't remember. But you get a defensive effort there. When I have talked this season about like the issues with the pass rush, the 4-man pass rush in particular, the thing that has made me sad is to report the thing that they are not doing is getting one of those stretches where they take over a football game, where you get it's the thing that makes the elite edge rushers guys that you just see in your nightmares versus very good edge rushers who you can build around but aren't going to single-handedly take a game over. The Chiefs' defense took that game over with no margin for error, and to your point already, the Chiefs did not take advantage of all those opportunities. The fumble was obviously a huge one, but the Chiefs losing a yard and going 3 and out, sandwiched between 2 defensive miracles from the Chiefs' defense, it is just one of the most impressive sequences of defensive football I have seen in a really long time, and it had a playoff level sense of urgency because I think everybody, Chris Jones most of all, and maybe Steve Spagnuolo most of all, they knew that there was not an opportunity to make this right in Dallas on Thursday. This had to happen then. There is still luck, good and bad. There are still missed opportunities on offense that kind of stress me out. Yes. But I just don't know if there are enough plaudits for this Chiefs defense forcing 4 consecutive 3 and outs in the fourth quarter and overtime. There's not a more clutch defensive performance than that.
And I love that you correctly delineated the idea of doing it with turnovers versus without turnovers. Because doing it without turnovers means you got to do it for extra plays. You're doing it.
It's harder.
Yeah.
Yes.
I absolutely agree. And they also, the biggest one, that 3rd and 1, when Jones just, I mean, I wrote about this in the article if you really want to, if someone wants to take a look at it and watch it. What Jones did there, it looks like the left guard and the center might do a little bit of combo blocking on Jones before climbing to the next level. But Jones goes all the way across the center's face into the next gap, which brings the center one way. And then the guard, seeing that Jones is going the other way, just starts climbing to take Bolton, which leaves a Red Sea parted for Drew Tranquill. That alone that's great. I think that's what Jones's job is there. It's to try to create a run blitz lane for Drew Tranquill. But because Chris Jones is so great, even going across the face of the center, he still beats him and the right guard through that gap. And because he's so strong, he's pulling them as they both have their hands on him and they can't hold him. And they know they can't, you can't make it too obvious. They were holding a little bit, not enough to get called. And he still is right there. As soon as Jonathan Taylor has the ball, he sees there's no cutback lane. There's no room to go straight ahead. There's no room to try to do anything. If Chris doesn't win like that, he maybe just tries to take on Drew Tranquill in the gap and fight for that extra yard or two and maybe gets it. He's like Tranquill's size. I mean, Tranquill's not a big linebacker. He does hit hard, but he has to move laterally. He's got no room to cut back or even threaten it, which means Tranquill doesn't even have to hesitate, right? He doesn't have to break down. He just moves. And it's a great tackle Tranquill made. But that goes from maybe a stuff best case scenario where they're probably going for it 4th and 1 to a loss of 2 because Chris Jones made a play that him and 3 other humans on earth can make. And he'll never get a stat for it.
Right.
And it was one of his most dominant snaps of the game. And it's one of those things that I love about football where you pull one lever and it pulls multiple other levers. But it wasn't just Jones. The whole defense. Hicks had an incredible close and tackle. Brian Cook had a pass defense that really set up, I think that was the second drive there where they ended up in 2nd and 10 because he went and knocked the ball out of his hands. McDuffie broke one up. They were just flying to the ball. And really what Spags finally did that was a little bit different, he started blitzing and started just playing, okay, we're going to play some aggressive man. And that's a good group of receivers. Now, it's not Dallas.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. But it's a good group of receivers that you generally play a lot of zone against. And he's just like, no, I trust my guys to close and hit. And to close from the second level and hit. And they did. It was awesome to watch. Some of the holes that exist in the defense are still there. The 4-man pass rush. Unless you need a Menahu or Karlaftis. Mostly a Menahu. Karlaftis is kind of the same guy every week. Mm-hmm. And I mean that in a very, very good way and a way that's a little less fortunate. Mm-hmm. But on a game where a Menahu has a really good game, the entire defense looks different. And that's where they're just going to need that moving forward. But overall, that back, the secondary can at times take over a game, and they help do that too.
I'm going to do a thing that I don't love always doing, which is just rattling off some things from the box score. But in this instance, I'm doing it because I think it's so easy to go, yeah, it was 20-20 at the end of the regulation. The Chiefs squeaked by. The first lead they took was as the game ended, with the kick going through the uprights was the first lead of the day for the Chiefs.
Yes.
This is on a day where Jonathan Taylor goes 16 for 58. That's with a 27-yard long. The math there remaining is 15 for 31. You don't have to be great at division to know that that's almost exactly 2 yards a carry outside of the one that he gets you on. Ashton Doolin is the Colts' leading receiver in this game because he gets you on a 48-yarder that you hate. It's a miserable play to give up. It feels like a bit of a gut punch, especially when your offense isn't keeping up its end of the bargain. But one big play for Ashton Doolin, and Tyler Warren goes 5 for 45, a number I would have settled for in a nanosecond before this game, considering how the tight ends did for the Buffalo Bills against this defense just 2 games prior. Michael Pittman, 5 for 27. Alec Pierce gets 1 for 26. We'll shift to the offense here in a minute, but if this would have ended any other way, this entire show for me would have just been a meltdown about how the Chiefs' offense let them down again. Just say, man, yet again, we're talking about how the defense did everything it was supposed to do, and the offense couldn't cash it. It's frankly still how I feel about the Broncos game, where I know it's 3rd and 15 is a really disappointing play to give up, but I have a hard time being mad about 3rd and 15 when that's the line between winning and losing after the effort that defense gave you during that game already. The Chiefs defense gave up 13 points in this game. The box score would have benefited from Patrick Mahomes not making the tackle on the would-be pick six that ended at the 3-yard line instead. That was not a real offensive drive. And the Chiefs defense, first down, was like, hey, maybe they're going to turn this into a field goal. No, they scored a touchdown because that's an impossible spot to leave your defense. But in 68 minutes of game time, the Chiefs defense is actually responsible for allowing 13 points against the highest scoring offense in the NFL. It is, and without getting just like a George Karlaftis super soldier serum game, without having Charles Omenihu turning back the clock a few years. Like that was the defense. It wasn't terribly out of character. There weren't a bunch of really weird things. It was in spite of the holes that we agree still exist in that defense. It was a pretty dominant effort that didn't feel dominant because we were biting our fingernails waiting for the offense to turn a field goal into a touchdown.
And that's such a good way to tell people rewatching games tells you a lot more about the team than watching the game once. Yeah. Even if you're not going to utilize all 22, watching the game without the emotion of the game day experience is a really good idea. If you want, I mean, you don't have to. Like, it's not requirement for fanhood. You just have to understand that your emotions in the moment definitely are a huge factor in how you view good plays and bad plays and the reasons why certain plays go a certain way, that kind of stuff. The emotion of the moment, emotion is really the enemy of thought. Because so often we have an emotion and then afterwards we're trying to justify that emotion with and by the way, this is actually pretty good life advice too. That
I'll also say it's also a real look into Seth Keysor's psyche. I mean, this is good stuff all the way around.
Well, at 40 now, it sure would be great
absolutely.
to learn that in the first 39 and a half years of my life, but steady by jerks.
I don't think you needed to learn that in the first 5 or 6. I think you get off scot-free for that.
That's fair.
Age 7 is the age of accountability. That's when you've got to start getting your bleep together. Age 7 is where they're
like, hey.
Get a job!
Yeah. So, like, the offensive struggles, and that's the other thing, the offensive struggles were largely in the red zone. They moved the ball some. It just looked familiar. The other thing is, like, people, I mean, they did line up under center a lot more. They just did. Now,
it was the most this season, but they also ran the most plays in the history of the sport of football, I think. That's not quite true, but it's closer than you'd think.
It sure felt like it.
Yeah.
I would love to see them now build off that play action under center stuff. This Thursday turnaround would be a great time. The Cowboys have a great run defense. Quinnen Williams terrifies me, and they're not going to have Trey Smith. But this would be a great time to build off some of that play action concept with some deep shots because their secondary stinks. So I really hope we're going to find out Thursday. Is this some of the changes we saw, especially in the second half with what the offense was doing? Because even though the offense had some struggles in the red zone, Big Lou was dialing up some good stuff. There were a few things there. We had a couple drops that were unfortunate, whatever.
Sick of that guy. Go to the NFC, man.
Yeah, honest to goodness. When the Colts hired him, I was like, dang it. Like, he does a good job.
Like, at least the Colts aren't going to be good enough for that to matter.
The thing that we the thing that we've been frustrated about this year was that they have some of the easy buttons, but they don't utilize them with enough frequency. If you're going to turn under center stuff, a little more of that power-based stuff, and maybe a little more some of those man coverage beating routes, which they do need to figure out something besides mesh and other crossers. But steady by jerks. And I want to talk about that in a minute because the end of that game actually was instructive as to why you can prevent teams from playing that much man, even if you're only winning one every 3 or 4 times. So we'll get back to that. I want to see the way we'll know if this is actually going to be a leg of the offense is if they build stuff off of it. If they just kind of do some of the same stuff with it, but then get back to everything else that they do, that will be a great way to know, yeah, we did that for a one-off. My hope is that we're going to see them unfolding new aspects of the offense, like almost a new install with some of that play action stuff built in.
We'll talk more about the offense on the other side of a timeout. But you know what's not a one-off? I know it's not a one-off because I tell you about it every show, Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the offense, both what we saw against the Colts and what we want to see against the Cowboys. That's next.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned into what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Missouri, big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KCSN. New Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KCSN. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are not withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Let's talk about the offense. And not just Seth and I any longer. Nate Taylor with us here now. Nate, we were just talking, giving all the flowers of the defensive side of the ball, beginning to turn to the offensive side. And I will say, Seth, I do fear that I was hinging negative on the offensive side. I will say what I opened everything else with Joshua Brisco, which you can listen to wherever you get your podcast. Yesterday, I opened with the offense because it was an absolute revelation to learn that the Chiefs offense can still do that at the end of a game. That still was extremely exciting and worth all of the joy that came from it, even though I'm very glad we started today's show defensively. Nate, what about you? What was the vibe from the press box? Let's make the moment the Kareem Hunt fumble.
Ooh, that's where I start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So I made Seth start too, so.
Okay. Good to know. Because, yeah, I listened a little bit before the break, again, trying to find the best time to come in. So I also wrote about the defense, too, after the game. The defense deserves largely the credit. And I guess Harrison Butker, who's fixed?
Harrison Butker did his job. Let's see. Let's just keep stringing them together, but let's go.
He's fixed. He's totally fixed. So, yeah, and this is interesting because Derek says it in the comments here. I think Josh Simmons caused the fumble. It was so unusual And even Kareem Hunt today, in talking to the reporter, said, "Hey, I thought I was on the ground. Therefore, I didn't even make the proper effort to go get the ball once, I landed in an awkward position and the ball came out." Ladies and gentlemen, I believe there's 14 minutes left in the Kansas City Chiefs season. That's literally what I wrote on my laptop. This is it. And, as a sports writer, as you're trying to contextualize what's happening in front of you, I had all the flashbacks. It's like a montage of Travis Kelce's turnover in the red zone, Patrick Mahomes' pick six in the red zone. All of a sudden, in the red zone, did Trevor Lawrence fall down, get back up, and score a touchdown in the red zone? Their biggest mistakes as to potentially, at the time, why they were not going to make the playoffs, that their season was cooked, that it was over, kids. Yes, flashbacks, ladies and gentlemen. Their season was essentially going to die in the red zone? Crazy. So that is what I wrote on my laptop. And then Chris Jones immediately destroys the interior of the Colts offensive line on the next play. And they've saved their season for 3.5 days. Cool.
This is the scale of this season now. This is you don't. I mean, this is crueler than ever. Of literally, you get 45 minutes to enjoy this one, but that's the margin the rest of the way.
Exactly, and at least for the offense, I really did question, even when it was 14-3. I really questioned, and I don't know how you felt, Seth, or what the mood was in your section in the stadium, but just is this team capable of coming behind from an 11-point deficit? So them demonstrating that in the fourth quarter, let alone the early second quarter,
yes,
is a positive sign for the offense. And largely, Patrick Mahomes, I thought, took a necessary step because it wasn't just defaulting to Travis Kelce. And Lou Adarumo knew that. And so Rashee Rice somehow woke up, because he was awful in the first half, guys. Awful. The play concepts didn't help him either. But I don't know if you heard this earlier today, Joshua Brisco on 96.5 The Fan, but I called Xavier Worthy C-3PO. That's his new nickname. Someone put C-3PO on Chewie's back and put him together and fix him in time for Thanksgiving, because he threw his helmet multiple times. He couldn't run routes for multiple snaps. He was a liability for large stretches. His ankle hurts. His shoulder hurts. He can't get off the line of scrimmage with the speed that he's so accustomed to. And then somehow, with the season on the line, beats man coverage and makes a marvelous adjustment to the ball. It's a catchable pass. You got to make that catch. But Patrick's sort of directing you as to how to turn towards the ball to make the catch. And he does it beautifully and holds on, survives the ground. And he looked so beat up. Oh, he looked like he... You know when you have to talk to somebody and you don't want to talk to them because your body hurts inside?
Every Tuesday and Thursday.
I always thought it was more of your soul that hurt than your body during these segments.
I should let Nate finish. You're right.
So he said, "Yeah, man. We had to have this one. This was like a play." Xavier Worthy's like, "This was a playoff game. Stop asking me questions." I heard him. I need to be.
We all want to be in a walk-in freezer right now. None of us can move anymore. Seth, I think right along that path, and I think kind of where you were going before the break, it is a breath of fresh air. It is a huge relief. It is hats off to say, hey, getting that sequence of offense strung together at the end of that game kept the season breathing, and that's delightful. But I do want to know if there's anything from this game and from the stretches of the offense looking, air quotes, fixed, if there's stuff there that can be built upon the rest of the way, because there are still a lot more must-win games between now and, let's say, the second weekend in February.
Right. So something to keep in mind, the Colts don't have a great pass rush. And what you saw for a lot of the first half and the third quarter was Mahomes hesitating. I'm going to write up the film review, I think tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm going to try at least, because I think this is an important one in that he really didn't start ripping the ball until he absolutely had to. But the commenters, guys,
It's so good.
I was not
So
looking at the
good.
comments earlier because it was just me and Seth, but I did click over.
It's so good.
I like Derek talking about Seth's barber. I also like Seamus saying, is Seth so quiet now because he's going to take all the time in 5 things later? Don't forget, guys,
Yes.
5 things coming to a podcast feed near you.
And so here's the thing. Being at the game, and Nate, you can back me up on this unless you saw something differently. A lot of people were talking who were watching the broadcast about Mahomes playing badly. And there was some truth to that. He had a few throws, like the one Rashid didn't catch in the end zone on the left side there. It's got to be on the outside shoulder there. If
Yes.
you're going to throw a back shoulder
Yes.
fade, it's got to go to that back shoulder, not the
Yes.
inside shoulder. Now, was it still catchable? Yes. But not a good throw. And so Mahomes' placement was off, and there were multiple times where he did what I would usually chart as a happy feet snap, where he's got protection and he starts to move, he starts to take off. On some of those snaps, I'm not going to chart them as happy feet because he wasn't trying to run away from the pass rush. He saw that no one was open against man,
Correct.
man in
Correct.
particular, or iterations of match, and he trusted more for himself to create a better throwing angle, to create a throwing lane. He trusted that more than he trusted his receivers or the offensive setup, which is problematic. And that's something that they got to address, because he has to fight that tendency to take off early regardless. And so they got to figure that out. One thing they did, because they were playing a lot of man, which, by the
Yes.
way, I think
Yes.
it was Seamus who commented, like, we don't really have to worry about that against Dallas because they run a ton of zone. Unless they decide to do things completely differently, there's a chance Rashee Rice, I think Seamus said this too, there's a chance Rashee Rice goes for like 200 if Dallas does what they normally do.
If his hamstring stays intact.
If his hamstring stays intact.
I'm going to ask about that one in a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though, that they switched up in the second half. They had Rice and Worthy in particular running more mesh and just spamming it over and over and over, because that's what Andy does against man coverage. He's got his pick stuff that Lou Anarumo's defenses have always played well. You know, you got trips where you run some pick play stuff. He's got that and various iterations of mesh. One thing that I saw different, they were not just running mesh shallow. They were utilizing deep crossers on it. And the difference there is that allows someone like Hollywood or someone like Worthy and someone like Rice to run away from the defender, to set them up a little bit. You got a little more space. You're not just necessarily winning at the stem of the route. You can win throughout the route with fakes here and there. Worthy won on that stuff all the time in college. Now, did it work? Not frequently. But here's what I was saying earlier, where with the Chiefs' current personnel, you don't have to win frequently to make a team pay for spamming man
Yes.
coverage.
Yes.
And we saw why late in the game. When it does work, when the mesh or the cross, whether it's a crosser with mesh, with someone coming from the other direction to create a pick, or if it's just a deep crosser, all it takes is 3 or 4 of them hitting, and you're talking 120 to 150 yards. And it's the same kind of analysis as like the Tyquan Thornton deep ball. You don't have to hit on it every time. You don't have to hit on it half the time. If you could hit on it a third of the time and it gets you a 40-yard play, 50-yard play, that forces teams to come out of it. So I'm curious. Against Dallas, it might be a little different, but I'm curious if they're going to be a little more willing to spam those looks moving forward, because with Worthy's speed and with Rice's acceleration and ability after the catch, you only have to win on some of them.
Seth's dying. Seth is deflating right now, so I'm going to let him catch up on whatever's happening in his lungs right now. And let's go ahead and put on the reporter cap for us here. Ultimately, look, so yesterday the injury report was a simulated injury report, a projected injury report. Today we get
bull bleep.
And that's, look, you can say that. You work for ESPN. The second bit of news, what we get today is actual practice participation, but in a like 10-10-10 Friday-esque like walkthrough situation, because everybody's body is dying because they played 400 snaps on Sunday, and I believe it ended up being the second most snaps or tied for the second most snaps of Travis Kelce's career in a single game. Kareem Hunt got 30 carries for the first time in his NFL career. Isaiah Pacheco, supposedly, Andy Reid said he will be back. But Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, somebody, listen, I do want to talk about Dameon Pierce at some point. I don't get the feeling we're going to need to talk about him today because I think that's a crazy turnaround. But right. I'm interested. Isaiah, I hope that knee is feeling spry. Worthy, Rice, and Leo Chanel were all full participants today after being limited on the fake report yesterday. And Chris Rowland-Wallace was limited today with a back issue. And then Trey Smith and Noah Gray were both out today. Trey Smith, the report from Rappaport, was high and low ankle sprains, which sounds like a misery. And then obviously Noah Gray's in the concussion protocol, and they're on a short week, and he was, that was not a good look. So can't possibly expect Smith or Noah Gray at this point. The rest of the guys, you certainly, expect to like travel and get a game day designation of some sort. But what is the latest there, Nate? You were out there today for a big old day of pressers and one very important day of walkthrough.
Thank you. I love how you said you were out there today like they did anything.
Or would have let you see it if they did. Yeah, I don't know. You were closer. Nate Taylor of ESPN, you were closer than most to whatever happened at Arrowhead today. Did you learn anything that you can share with us?
No, I didn't learn anything. Other than get some sleep, hydrate, get yourself an ice bath or 4. At least it's a good sign. In all seriousness, it's a good sign that Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy were out there. They are, we assume that they will be playing on Thursday, on Thanksgiving. Guys don't want to miss this game because of the tradition, the notoriety. This could arguably be the most watched regular season NFL game in the league's history. Think about that, kids.
It's crazy.
So Kareem Hunt, I think the question for me now is, do you ride Kareem Hunt as much as possible early instead of making Isaiah Pacheco your starter? Because it's obviously been a while since he's come back. Andy Reid alluded to the fact today, guys, that Pacheco will play, but he doesn't know how much. Like, what will his role be? Will it be limited? There is the benefit of getting the 10-day break between, Thanksgiving and the Chiefs' next game, December 7th. Against your Houston Texans, Dameon Pierce, that's
what I was thinking too. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
I mean, just, if you want to get your eyes on that playbook, there's a game on December 7th you might be interested in. Plus, hey dog, you still got that iPad? You still got those concepts? You still got those personnel packages? You know what they running down there? You were in the meetings, right?
Go ahead, Seth. Sorry, I wanted to see if I'd get him again. Seth thought he was being disrespected there, but he actually just forgot to unmute himself after his coughing fit, and so Seth tried talking there and thought Nate. Seth definitely, you can see it in his eyes. This is a good replay if you want to watch this back later. You can see Seth go through. I can't believe Nate is steamrolling me so much that neither of them even acknowledge what I said, but it's because he said it into a muted microphone.
Couldn't hear you.
It wasn't. I thought you muted me, and I thought it was funny.
Oh no, you muted yourself from the coughing fit.
That's also funny, but for different reasons. I was just going to say with Dameon Pierce, I'm really intrigued by that because him in particular, and he hasn't been a star. He had a good rookie season. Man, you want to talk about someone that'll infuriate you if you run some outside zone from shotgun. But if you want to talk a guy that's like, if I was to take like a tiny bit of thought that, is Andy going to like just start spamming under center runs? Dameon Pierce would be the running back to sign to do that. Maybe some shotgun inside zone duo type stuff. But I was like, they signed him. I was like, you want to talk about a guy who basically is a lot like Kareem Hunt. And it's like,
but didn't have 30 carries yesterday.
But it has a 20 in front of his name and not. And
it would be especially with, he's got a 20 in front of his age, especially with once Trey is back, because that's the thing. There really aren't a lot of defensive lines they can't run over, and it would be so funny to me if one of the things they start doing is like, okay, fine, we see what Sean's doing over there in LA, and man, it's making life easier on Stafford, who's playing unbelievably. We see what they're doing in San Francisco. Okay, Pat, we're going to go under center like half the time. That would be the funniest outcome, and so I am here for it. But that's just a side note. We'll see what he does. People are expecting him to come in and be a savior. Don't. Remember when Elijah Mitchell might be part of the offense? So let's just see what happens. But Pierce is an interesting candidate for more under center stuff.
Yes.
I want to make one comparison, and I mean this with all of the love in the world, okay? There was a running back a couple of years ago who was a first-round pick, actually, had a great rookie year, but similar to Dameon Pierce, great rookie year, had some injury issues from that point on, and just never quite, regained the burst, never regained quite what he was as a runner as a rookie, and then his original team cut him, and he signed elsewhere. And when that happened, no one said the New Orleans Saints had found a savior for their backfield for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was just there. No, but I'm just saying, that's the comparison that I made when my mom saw the news and texted me and was like, is this? Like, 'cause there was a Facebook post that she saw that was like, and the Chiefs running back room will never be the same. And I was reading that as something I was telling her, I was like, I like Dameon Pierce out of the draft. I like this move now. If they would have given up a 7th round pick for him before the trade deadline, I wouldn't have been angry. I would have been like, oh, he hasn't really done much, but okay, I get it. I do think it makes sense, especially given the age and injury status and the workload of this running back room, having not found real run plays for Brashard Smith and having found no role for Elijah Mitchell and having one call-up left for Clyde. And we haven't heard from Carson Steele. They have 7 running backs on their 70-man roster. That's 10% of their roster is running backs, including the practice squad and the international player pathway. So, 10% of the roster is running backs right now. I'm totally good with the signing. I think it makes total sense. He's on the practice squad. Totally makes sense. But I make the Clyde comparison just because from the Texans side of things, that was a disappointing end to a once promising mid-round draft pick after a great rookie campaign who never recaptured that. And it's not like the Texans have had a bunch of awesome answers in their backfield the last couple of years. They've also been kind of cobbling it together. I think Dameon Pierce he will touch the football here, and it will provide value to the offense. I know that whenever a new player joins your team, you want to remember their highest highs, and that's how you end up watching, it was Amari Cooper earlier this season before he re-retired or officially retired. It's like, look at these highlights, and you're looking at the names. It's like, this highlight's from a game that Jake Delhomme was playing for the Carolina Panthers. Interesting. That might be an exaggeration, but I just, those are my 2 cents on the Dameon Pierce thing. A move I like. He's not prime Brian Westbrook.
Savior. So look, just give him the label now, Savior. We might see Dameon Pierce, the Savior, on December 7th. Just circle that on your calendar. Moving forward, without Noah Gray and Trey Smith, unfortunate as it may be, here it comes, man. They're just putting so much pressure, so much of the burden on Patrick Mahomes. And guys, I have a solution for this offense. Are you interested to hear about it?
Finally! Yeah, where's this been for 12 weeks?
What you got, Seth?
I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
Oh, you were holding your
definitely
finger up
not-
like you wanted to add something. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I actually wasn't meaning to. I'm definitely not reviewing discovery in a juvenile case.
Nope, not at all. Why would anyone do that?
Just
at
for a
this time of
second.
the
I
hour?
just got to get this out by tomorrow. I'm listening, though, and I want to know how to
Okay.
fix the offense.
Okay, here's how
what he
you
said,
fix
right?
the offense.
Man, I mean, it's
Here's-
just the worst listening podcast in the history of podcasts.
What?
Huh? Okay.
I'm sorry,
so,
you said that to a dad. I had to do the thing.
So look, ladies and gentlemen, we saw something, and I wondered if you noticed it the way I noticed it, okay? Because, of course, what Andy Reid and Matt Nagy did to us was a form of abuse that you and I and everybody else don't need in our lives, okay? The Chiefs defense did its job. As I put on Twitter, because I was in the stands for the first drive, it was, hey, we know this game's important. Let's get loud. Let's make sure Daniel Jones' offensive linemen can't hear themselves think. So we are immediately like, the defense don't even really have to do anything because the crowd impacted the first drive of the game. So we give you the ball. Now, should Nico Remigio be on the field? No, he should not be on the field. You should have 11 guys going at the punter so that you get better field position. That is the key to the offense. Now, secondly, that's a form of abuse, and it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be exposed.
You
It
have to
needs to
call
be-
it what it is.
You
That's
need to
the
take-
first step. There needs to
Exactly.
be accountability.
Yep. And they did it to us again. They didn't think we could. I didn't think they'd do that to us, guys. Under their own goalpost, they ran an RPO that you, me, everybody saw coming. That wasn't no RPO. That's a pass option, and you got what you deserved, which is an interception, an immediate 7 points, and the life being sucked out of a stadium that was genuinely lively for a late December, we got to have this one kind of game.
Oh, yeah.
That's abuse. Now, here's the real answer, guys, so that they can no longer abuse us anymore. Don't you dare run an RPO. Don't you dare be predictable on the first drive of your apparently immaculate 15-play script, because we can't even get to play 3 because what the hell was that on play 2? Seth?
I agree.
Are you?
I agree that it's abuse and it's got to be called out and recognized. And really, you have to understand you can't move forward in a relationship where there is that kind of treatment. Now, sometimes you just got to cut loose. However,
I'm gonna walk out.
There's a path forward. There's room for grace, redemption, and mercy, but it has to start with accountability and repentance.
Okay. Hey, Andy.
Is that a lead-in for the two of you to repent to me?
Sure.
Josh,
Come back. Come have another
Josh,
seat. Josh, sit back down. Sit back down.
It
are
just
hard
felt
to
like you were
deal with,
talking to me,
Josh.
but not in the way that you realized.
Josh, and it's not your fault that we're hard
not
to deal
your
with.
fault,
That's
man. So-
us, and we
We're
see the
human.
problem. We acknowledge it. I see how it's hurt
Yeah.
you, and I want to make
It has
amends.
hurt us. It's hurt
I'm not
us
allowed to
so
hand the ball
long.
off with these two. You guys, a couple RPOs here, a couple PPOs, and I'm PO'd.
Okay, so if no one's paid attention, this is how you fix the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs, your Chiefs, the team that you root for, that has
Was that
Patrick
just for
Mahomes.
Seth?
Yeah, that was just for Seth. The team you root for that has Patrick Mahomes on it. You know how many points they scored in the first quarter? Zilch, my boys. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how many points did the Chiefs score in the first quarter against a gotta have it for the division Denver Broncos? 3 points. That's all you got in the first quarter. Hey, Buffalo Bills, biggest game of the season. Everything's been pointing to this. It's right before the bye week. Let's get right. You know how many points Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs scored on the first possession of the first drive of the freaking biggest game of the year? Zilch, okay? Washington, zilch. Vegas, not a real team. Detroit, 6.
You actually could convince me that Vegas is not a real team based
Not a
on
real
that game.
team.
Because that's still, I still think about that game where I'm like, my God, that wasn't
They
even
were
close.
so bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
but no,
hey,
This is good.
Sao Paulo, zilch. Home openers, zilch. New York Giants against Russell Wilson on prime time in week 3. Gotta have it. 0-2. 3 points in the first quarter. Baltimore, not a real defense. Jacksonville, hey, that's the best they've looked in the first quarter all season. They lost that game still. What they have to do is convince themselves it's not the first quarter. Remember, now this is a deep cut, kids. For 2 seasons, we had to tell ourselves that all you had to do was get Marquez Valdez-Scantling in a dark room and hypnotize him to tell him that this game was played in January.
January, bro.
With the season on the line.
Yep.
What's interesting about Patrick on Sunday, and I'm sure you noticed this, Seth, he looked up and was like, oh, it's the third quarter. Oh, we're down 20-9. You know what? I guess I'll become a superhero. Like, the drive, I want people to go back and rewatch the drive of the Kareem Hunt fumble. We know all how it ends. Patrick's so good on that drive. It's absurd. And he was deflated because of the fumble, because he knew he was starting to get a rhythm. They were starting to find solutions. And obviously they went humming the moment they got the ball back after the fumble. So can we, on Thanksgiving, hypnotize the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, that the first quarter is actually the fourth quarter and you need to win this game? Because their offense in the first quarter this season is habitually abhorrent.
I think you pick out a larger issue there potentially, and that's something to definitely watch against the Cowboys, because if it's going badly, and obviously Andy Reid's opening script isn't always the same, it consists of different things, and the point of the opening script isn't necessarily just to score. Obviously, that's a huge goal, but he also wants to see, okay,
yes,
all right,
exactly.
When we show this, what do you do? When we show this, what do you do? I don't think it's a coincidence that when they showed how they were going to handle RPOs, Andy was like, well, I guess we're done with that for the day against Indy. I would really, really love to see them start faster, and I would really think that them starting as slowly as they have with their first 15 is at least a sign to Andy that you can't rebuild the entire foundation of an offense midseason, but you can, knock down some false walls. You can, you can redo the bathroom. You can do a lot of construction without tearing up the entire foundation. And that, to me, the fact that it's better as the game goes along, shows a couple things. It shows how great Pat can be. It shows that Andy does still have his fastball when it comes to, okay, this is what they're doing. We're going to find a crack in the armor. But man, it would be great if they just started to acknowledge that the foundations they thought they would have as an offense maybe isn't quite what they were hoping. And it's like, okay, well, what are the things we do really well? Well, Tyquan Thornton gets behind defenses really well. Xavier Worthy runs certain routes really well. Rasheed Rice does certain things. Let's start building this. Run the ball under center. Let's do this.
They lied to her. They flat out lied to her face.
Listen, this isn't her fault. Somebody told her this. It's not her fault. I don't even need to mention her name because she's a good reporter. I have no ill will whatsoever.
Of course we don't have any ill will. She's going to be there Thursday. And guess what, guys? They're going to lie to her on Thanksgiving Day, too.
A longtime veteran, excellent NFL sideline reporter tweeted out, I don't know if it was before the game or the day before the game.
It was the day before the game.
Day before the game. The Chiefs are going to have a larger workload for Tyquan Thornton, who had 1 target for no catches in this game.
That was diabolical. Which, by the way, there was one play in particular. The Colts were running a lot of single high. Yes. And there were a couple times where Thornton, there's one snap in particular, I don't even remember when it was in the game. He was alone on an island, and he got separation down the field. And I was like, Pat, just check out of it. Just check out of it and bomb away, because he's going to get open against one guy, generally speaking. Now, to be fair, the Colts have Ward and Sauce. They've got good corners. They were counting on them to win that stuff. I get it. But, man, you got to have a plan for man coverage, because they're good against zone. You don't really need to go into the game with your primary game plan. What are we going to do if they play zone? It's like, well, you'll probably throw the ball to Travis Kelce and Rasheed Rice, who are awesome at it. Like, or let Mahomes, who's better against zone than anyone, do what he does and manipulate defenders with his feet. Plan for man coverage, Andy. Plan for it because you've got the stuff to beat zone. So just plan for man. It's like if I were just like, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do if my 9-year-old tries to fight me. It's like, well, I'll probably like just win, you know, like I have advantages here. That's not what I'd actually do, by the way, human services in my county. But
Are you reviewing your own case over there? What's happening?
well, what can you do? So, but you don't need to have this incredibly detailed plan for the thing that you're best at. Plan to kind of cover up some of those deficiencies and assume teams are going to play you in a way you'd rather not be played. Because I swear to God, sometimes it's like, man, I sure hope they don't play a bunch of man. And if they don't play a bunch of man, these route combinations will work. It's like, why would you plan on them doing the thing you don't want them to do? Plan on them doing the thing that you don't want them to do.
Yeah,
all right,
that's
I'm done. Sorry.
Hey,
Chiefs, Cowboys.
Hey, Tracy. Come over here. It's so good to see you,
That was
Tracy. Give me a hug, girl. Hey, by the way, before you go, big things for Taekwon. Yeah, put that. Hey, get your pin out. Click. Hey. Taekwon about to ball out, girl. You heard it here first. Hey, give me another hug. Come on, Tracy. Let's go. Like, hey, you go. Hey. When I see you in Dallas, you gonna look at me and say, you know what? That Taekwon nugget was real good. Yeah, it was real good.
I hope that there's a follow-up conversation. I don't know who this conversation's between, but I would love to hear. I'm excited for this week's report. I'm excited to know that it's like, wow, weirdly, they're not going to give the ball to Kareem Hunt at all this game.
At all. You're right.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, take the over.
Yeah,
all right, well,
if you're the Chiefs, you got to go the opposite way. You got to say, like, you know what? We're actually not going to play Patrick Mahomes on stuff.
We're thinking about Minshew. I was going to say the same thing. We're actually thinking about getting a little, you know what the Cowboys aren't going to be ready for? Gardner Minshew back there. They've not, I can say this with confidence, they have not been scouting for Gardner Minshew to start at quarterback. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Just put it out there. See, just put it out there. Come on.
We're thinking about just giving this one. We're thinking about letting Chris Jones have the holiday off. Go ahead, Seth. You had something to say. This is your last word. Then Nate can get us out of here.
We're gonna run the ball a bunch from under center. You'll never see it coming. Anyway.
We're over an hour here. I think we talk more Colts than Cowboys. We tend to do that anyway. It's a short week. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. And as things stand right now, we may need to get an official schedule put out later on. But we are planning on having a show on Friday afternoon. So should be around the same time, certainly the same channel, but Friday afternoon is our next scheduled Only Weird Games, because otherwise we would be doing the show at like the first quarter break. And as fun as that might be, I believe we all have some conflict. So we will return after Thanksgiving, of course. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone who's spending time with us now. I would have said something more about being thankful in the holiday spirit, but I just keep forgetting that it's Thanksgiving in 2 days and Christmas is a month from today. I'm not in the holiday season. I'm in the Chiefs season and the work season. So it's like, catch me in February. Maybe in February I'll have some Christmas cheer and Thanksgiving cheer and Valentine's Day cheer and St. Patrick's Day cheer. We're going to just shove it all into February and March. But in the meantime, Nate, why don't you go ahead and get us out of here?
Yes, on behalf of the entire Only Weird Games crew, thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving. I am definitely here at the Hideaway. From my view out this lovely window, I see the mayor's Christmas tree. It is not lit up yet, but it will light up in like the third quarter.
Really?
Chiefs, Cowboys, maybe? I don't know. Maybe tell Mayor Q to wait until after the game. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm at the Hideaway. If you want to know where I am located right now, as I see the mayor's Christmas tree right in front of.
What Nate hasn't told is that the Hideaway is in the mayor's house, and the mayor doesn't know about it. He's like Harry Potter. He's under the stairs.
Yeah. So we have come to a tradition that I must give praise to. And then I'm going to ask for a lovely request, something I don't ever do. Okay, Tom Lester, when you hug Tracy Wilson, does the mold get in the way, Nate? Hilarious. No. I hope to hug Tracy Wilson. That would be nice. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes Thursday. It's a bit chaotic. This is a shout out to the one, and this this brings out one of my favorite memories from last year, to the one and only Scott McGuire, who once again delivered the homemade pecan bars. It is a tradition unlike any other. Last year we were in studio, and I believe you had a couple, Josh. Is that right?
I did. I'm wondering if this is the present that Seth had for me that I don't get to have now. It's
This is the this was you almost giving up your life for sugar.
It was worth it. Every time it's worth it.
Every time. But no, Scott's been marvelous and wonderful, and so I definitely wanted to give him a shout out. I know he doesn't listen live necessarily or watch live, so he'll either hear this post. But happy Thanksgiving, Scott, and they're already gone. Me and Holly have eaten them. The kids didn't get any of them. Hayden didn't know they existed because that's how precious they are. I love pecan pie. Have a slice of pecan pie for me, guys, or pecan bars, or Patti LaBelle's sweet potato pie. This is the most ridiculous thing we do in America. Do you realize that? We said, hey, I gotta talk to my aunt and watch the Cowboys. This is the thing that we do. We force this upon our family members. Stay awake. Don't have the turkey haze. And just know that, hey, the team you root for has to play the Dallas Cowboys because they're more popular right now than the Cowboys. That's a bit strange, which means you on Thursday morning should check out a story by little old me on this small website called ESPN.com. If you could do that for me, that would be a great favor, and I would appreciate it. Much like, Scott gave me something to enjoy for Thanksgiving. Now I'm giving something for you to enjoy. All right? And I really need you to read it. This is as close as I'll come to the Therese Paylor. Can you please give me the corporate click? I need it. It's Thanksgiving. The mouse made me work. Please click. Please read. Then have some pie.
I'm just glad real football is finally about to start.
Oh, yes, real football. Tell Patrick the fourth quarter starts at the coin toss.
Tail Andy, you're not allowed